say? So, I just finished the main story of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on Xbox Series X. And I thought, well, I've got some. I've just used the chapter select to load up chapter 13 because there's some stuff I need to finish. I'm not going to stream all of that. But I was like, I'll have this on in the background while I talk about my final thoughts on the game. So, I was a bit of a late bloomer to Final Fantasy. I was a Sega kid growing up, so I never really played it. So literally the first one I played properly was 7 on PlayStation 1 after downloading it for PlayStation 3. I played a few of them on emulators, but it always I knew about it. I had a friend who was a big fan, so I kind of latched on that way. And I enjoyed the game. I think ironically, if I remember right, I watched Final Fantasy VII Advent Children before I'd played the game. So that was interesting to come into it essentially at the end of the story and work backwards. And I did like 7. I didn't have the same emotional attachment to it as a lot of people did back then because I didn't have a PlayStation as a kid. But I did enjoy it, and I've played it since then. I've played it on. I played the Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII that came to Xbox One, and beaten it, which of course I did with all the boosters and everything. So. Yeah, I've been a fan of it. I do really enjoy it. I love the world. I've played and finished Crisis Core on Xbox One and Dirge of Cerberus twice on PlayStation 2. I like to think I'm pretty well versed in the world and the story. I really enjoy it, and I was excited when I heard it was getting remade, and that excitement then got hit with a brick wall for a couple of reasons. The main one was that the game wasn't going to be on Xbox, which is annoying. It was very annoying for me because I was like, well, all the other Final Fantasies were on Xbox, all of them. Every single one was available on Xbox. We even got Crisis Core, the reunion version, but for whatever reason, you couldn't play Final Fantasy VII Remake. Luckily, my mate decided for a laugh he would get me a PlayStation 4, so one of the first games I got, he may have even got me it if I remember right, was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was like, right, I'm correcting this, I'm going to play it on PlayStation 4. And I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I beat it pretty quickly. I wanted to get through it as quick as I could because I didn't have a lot of time, so I was like, let's try to get through it quickly. And then it came to Xbox One, and I was super happy about that too. And I managed to get it pretty quick. It was on sale like almost right away, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna get it and I'm gonna play it. And then when I played it on Xbox One, I had to finish it even faster because I was like, okay, I've got even less time now. I need to blast through this as quickly as possible. And I remember it was funny because a very similar thing happened. So when I played the Final Fantasy VII that you get on Xbox, the original version that's on Xbox, I played the whole game and got right to the end, and then realised that you could turn on all these boosters for the game that make it easier, like max limit break, sort of basically max health and all this sort of thing. That just would have made it so much easier to just play through. And then when I was playing Remake on Xbox One, I got to a certain point where you play like a mini game as Yuffie and have to destroy all these barrels, and there's an achievement tied to beating like the expert mode or whatever, and I couldn't do it, and I was looking up on True Achievements for some help, and it was said on it to turn on streamlined progression for all this max stuff, and something clicked in my head where I was like, I remember that hearing about that, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And I texted my mate right away and was like, we're a couple of idiots. We could have been playing the whole game with, max health, max everything on, and made it so much easier to get all these achievements. So that's why for Rebirth, straight off the bat, I turned all that on because I needed to get the game done as quick as I could. So I just turned them on and just have blasted through it with all them on. But even with them on, like, that doesn't really help you with some of the stuff that's in this game. And Remake, a lot of that wasn't there. Like you could just blast through it. It was very chapter based, and the hardest things about Remake, with the way I played it, was getting 100% achievements, because you had to reload certain chapters to make certain decisions to get all the outfits and dresses and stuff. And that was really tedious, because there's just huge sections in that game where essentially nothing is happening, and that is unfair to say, because what it is happening is world building. And that first Final Fantasy VII Remake is really big on setting the stage of like the slums and Sector 7 and all this sort of thing, building the relationship between Cloud and Aerith, and making you really live that world. But this is the second wall that I had a problem with the remake system, which was that they'd split the game into these 3 massive trilogies, which is fine. But then you think about the fact that like it started on PS4, the second game, like Rebirth, came out on PS5, and the next one, I feel like it's probably going to be on PS6 at this point. It's like the whole trilogy is not available on one system. Luckily, that's so far, and hopefully it will be on Xbox Series X. But that was kind of an issue, because it was like, so you're essentially taking the 3 discs of the original game and expanding them out into these huge games. And this sort of thing happened in the Resident Evil like 2 and 3 remakes, where they changed the original game so much that it was less like a remake and more just like a brand new game. And it's taken so long to make. And it's like, yeah, it's great and everything. Like, I appreciate that they've made them like AAA plus games, but I really don't feel like it was necessary. I think you could have either made it 2 or just made it 1 and had it be like this classic, a very simple kind of throwback to that way of playing, with that turn-based system. And I was like, I appreciate Final Fantasy isn't really like that now, but it was a bit annoying, very expensive and annoying to do it that way, because you suddenly have these massive games that you've got to play, and it just felt weird, especially playing Remake, because you know they've just sort of padded the story out to justify that. But with Remake, now in hindsight, that was a breeze compared to what they've done with Rebirth, which to be fair, they've expanded on everything, and that's great. Like, you want to see that, you want to see the world get bigger, and that they definitely did that. And I'm not going to be the first person to criticise what's happened in Remake, but we'll talk a bit more about in Rebirth. We'll talk a bit more about Remake first. So with Remake, I had to tell some people about it. They were asking me about the game and stuff, and I said, well, you know, it's kind of a remake, but it's also in a way a sequel, because of the way they've done the story, which kind of has this idea of Sephiroth, sort of his consciousness seems to have stretched back through the live stream, back in time in a way. So he's trying to change the past, and that's what's caused like the whispers to come out. Like, they're trying to keep fate back on track and everything, which is interesting to do. I quite like that idea, but it's kind of like the game doesn't properly commit to it. Like yet it does at the same time. It's really weird. Like, the vibe is so strange. So it does commit to it, but I don't see like massive changes. And what it reminds me of is Mortal Kombat 9, where they changed the past, but they didn't really commit to it. So you have stuff like Cyber Sub-Zero, but that's undone in Mortal Kombat X, sort of thing. And like, yeah, in 9 it seemed like, you know, everyone ended up sort of dead, basically, and you know, yeah, we had Cyber Sub-Zero by the end, and Liu Kang was dead by the end, and it was like, oh, you know, yeah, it's the same, but it's different, and we've changed things. But then 10 did this kind of reset, where it was like, yeah, things are still changed, it is still a new timeline, but we need to have classic Sub-Zero back. Which just felt a bit of a cop-out. It's like, well, if you're starting again with this new timeline, then commit to it. And this is what we get with 7, like with Remake. It's still hitting all those beats, it's just expanded because it's now a AAA game. So, you know, it's all this bombing the reactor stuff and everything. That's great. But I remember some people sort of criticizing it because it was like, well, you've got to stick in a Sephiroth fight, but in the original game, you don't really encounter Sephiroth or much less fight him until the very end of the game. And there's even like an argument to be made that you never really encounter Sephiroth in the original Final Fantasy VII because he's usually acting through avatars or like extensions of Genova and stuff. It's not really physically him. He's stuck in the North Crater, North Cave, whatever the hell it's called. But obviously Sephiroth is one of the poster childs for 7. People expect to see him, newcomers. By the time Remake had come out, there were people who will be aware of Sephiroth, like his iconography, from other games and media and everything. So you can't make the first part in this trilogy and not include Sephiroth or a fight against him. So obviously they put that in, and that led to the ending we got of that, which is this kind of culmination of, oh, you know, fate's being twisted and stuff. But again, like, nothing really huge changed in the game. Like, you know, kept the same. Jesse still died. Biggs died. All the same stuff happened. It's just in this new world, and you get little hints, like from Aerith and from Sephiroth, sort of hinting that, oh, by the way, you know, yeah, this has happened before, and I'm going to make sure it still happens and stuff, which is fine. Until the very end of the game, which had this reveal that Zack was still alive, which opened a lot of speculation that Rebirth takes to the next level, which is not so much that he survived in a separate timeline, I think is what they're going for here. Which again, you know, that's all very well and good. But it would have been interesting in Remake if you're going to do that, if you're going to say, oh, it's a new timeline and things are changing, like maybe change things, maybe actually do something different, like have certain different characters live or whatever. But they didn't really do that. And then in Rebirth, that is continuing. I'm going to make sure I pick the right chocobo this time, because just as a tangent here, because I wanted to keep using this one because she's won so many races, but this rock solid thing, just to kind of, I think I'm going to switch to a different chocobo. Anyway, yeah, so that it's not really committing to this new timeline. It's just doing something where it's just the same thing, but it's all expanded, and you know, so it's less, like I say, less like a remake and more like it's a brand new game, which again it makes a bit like, because I think that kind of happened with Resident Evil 2 and 3, is that they're not so much remakes. It was like it's a new game, and we're just with an old title sort of thing, retelling the story, but it is essentially a new game, and it became the new canon as well. And that's probably what is happening with 7, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff where in the games where it's sort of recontextualizing everything. Ugh, that's bad. Recontextualizing everything in the context of how the Final Fantasy VII world has expanded since the original game came out, which I've always found really fascinating, how the original game has a tone and a vibe to it and things that happen to it that kind of clash with the later games. Like I said, when I played Dirge of Cerberus, as much as I like Dirge of Cerberus, it doesn't feel like that's the same world as Final Fantasy VII, and Crisis Core just kind of, in a way, visually, and it's kind of like in a way like a bit of a rehash, sort of. It's kind of, I really liken it to Phantom Menace, where it's like, oh, you know, Zack gets a Zack, he gets Angel. It's like, oh, he's like Zack for Zack, if that makes sense. And then you can't have Sephiroth be the bad guy, so you get a new Sephiroth in Genesis Rathalos and everything. And it's like, okay, well, that's interesting. I liked it, but it's just kind of all of the stuff that came out after 7 has expanded on 7 so much that 7 didn't feel like part of its own world, which is really kind of interesting to think about. And I think the remake trilogy has done a really good job of consolidating that and making sure everything kind of fits nicely. Like I'm playing Rebirth and I'm thinking, yeah, everyone, I need to look into it, honestly. Everyone feels like they're still in their Advent Children costumes in a way, like they're fitting all this, they're sort of in these new designs and these new personalities and everything that was expanded on in other media, and now it all kind of links together nicely. So the original game is kind of irrelevant in a way now. It's like, yeah, no, you want to play the remake, this is what we're doing now. And yeah, so it was interesting getting to the end of remake and being like, oh, well, now you've had this tease of Zack. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, anything could happen, right? Who knows where the story's going to go? Maybe big changes will happen now. So you get to Rebirth, and that's not really true. Again, it doesn't change that much, even though it seems to hint that it does. It doesn't. Like, all the same sort of story beats still land. It's just they're expanded upon, and this is the thing that Rebirth is doing, is it's expanding on it in ways that they don't hit with me well. I mean, I am not, a lot of this is a me thing, I am not a big fan of open world games at the best of times. There are very few exceptions, and I was banking on Rebirth being chapter based like the way Remake was, and I was like, okay, there'll be bigger areas and there'll be more to the game, but it'll still be chapter by chapter, essentially mission based. But that isn't what they did. Instead, they go for this quasi open world, and I've seen a lot of people sort of talk about how the natural evolution of that in the next game will be completely open world, which scares me personally, because I was already getting a lot of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom vibes from Rebirth, which is bastard fucking gates, which is interesting because I'm pretty certain they did come out in the interim there. So there's no like copying, but yeah, I definitely was getting those vibes from the game with all the different tasks you were given, and it really made me laugh in hindsight, because the opening chapter for Rebirth is that flashback to Nibelheim, where a fresh-faced Cloud is all like, oh, you know, I can't wait. I've been dreaming about being a soldier my whole life. I don't want to be an errand boy. I want missions. I want action, sort of thing. And yet, then he spends the whole game being an errand boy. Like, he's just like, Chadley is constantly sending him out to do things for him, and it's like, dude, you are an errand boy. Like, they've taken that forced thing they did in Remake, where they were like, oh hey, go around the slums and do some odd jobs, to get to know people and everything, because, you know, why not, let's do some odd jobs. And that it would stop the story, so you could do that. Like, I'm pretty certain there were chapters where you had to do at least one mission, you had to do at least one side quest, you had to do it to progress things. And luckily with Rebirth, there is the option to not do it. You could just skip all of that stuff with Chadley, all the side missions and everything, and you can just skip to the next part in the story. And the problem, a me problem here, I decided I didn't want to do that, because I was still playing it in the mentality of Final Fantasy Remake, which was, I want to try and I don't have a lot of time, I want to get all the achievements in one go, so I will do all the missions and try to tick everything off in one go. Oh, Jesus. And unfortunately that was a problem, especially for me, especially for my streaming as well, because it meant that I had a plan to do a chapter a night. I was like, if I do a chapter a night, I'll be finished in 14 days, because I knew there was 14 chapters. And unfortunately, because of the way they did the game, it meant that chapters were taking 6 hours or so while I did all of the side quests, all the missions and everything, like running around finding all the proto relics, running around finding all the activating all the towers, which again very Breath of the Wild. And I'm like, it's weird to me, like I'm like, who gives a hell about any of this that you're doing, Chadley? And it made me laugh because I started the game assessing every enemy. I was like, I'm going to do assess for every enemy because I believe there was an achievement tied to that. And then I got tired of it. I looked at the achievement list and was like, oh, there's no reason to keep assessing every enemy. And then just yesterday I was checking the simulator and I saw some of the simulator missions are locked because you have to assess a certain amount of enemies in each region. And I'd stopped doing it, and now I've got to go back and I've got to find out which enemies I haven't hit assess on, which essentially means I've got to go back to every region and just randomly fight a bunch of enemies again, which has kind of annoyed me that I've got to do that. And yeah, so like you can I was thinking ahead of like, well, with Remake I beat the game and then I ran through it even faster on hard mode and finished the game on hard mode pretty quickly. It didn't take long, took a couple of days in the long run. And I was like, oh, I'm dreading playing Rebirth in hard mode because of all this extra clap that you've got to do. But then, because I was messaging my mate and he's got to play the game, I said to him, dude, the best thing you can do here is finish the game and then when you play hard mode, just skip. You can skip it all. You can just go straight to the mission, like follow the blue dots on the map and just do the missions, and that'll be easier because you don't need to do all these side quests to progress the story. But it is helpful if you're trying to get everything, if you're getting XP and you want to get all the right material and everything, which in a normal playthrough I'd be more incentivized to do, because obviously I wouldn't have, because I've got all the streamlined progression on, there's no real need, there's no pressing need for that, because there's no battle I'm going to lose because I've got infinite health and magic and all this sort of thing. So essentially I did all that because I was trying to get everything done for the achievements and everything, not necessarily because I had to do it, quote unquote. And then yeah, so you're asked to do all this busy work, and you can't move 5 minutes without doing it. And then you've got sections where, you know, you're scanning the live stream, the crystallized live stream, and then you put your scanner away, and then you instantly get it back out, and you're doing the damn you're getting a message from Chadley, and he's like, Cloud, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh my god, like just stop, just stop. And the game started in the same sort of way, which bugs me, which is bombarding me with tutorials, like, oh, you now do this. I'm like, I don't care, like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to play the game, and you're stopping me from playing the game because you keep pausing the action, and I'm trying to like just play, and I'm just like, there's got to be a better way of communicating all this information without using a whole bunch of tutorials that interrupt the game. And then just when you think you've sort of mastered everything, like at the end there, it throws in all these new mechanics, like, oh well, now Kate Sith can get on his Moogle and he can pick up you know, crates and throw them, and now Aerith has to pray to gather stuff. I'm like, does she have to do that? I mean, why can't it just automatically come, like, fly to me? Like, why do I have to hold down Y? And it's that same sort of thing as like opening doors. Usually you just press Y, but there are sometimes you have to hold it, which makes sense when you're holding down like a lever. But if it's a regular door and you're just holding down Y, I'm just like, why am I holding it down? Why can't I just press Y and have that be enough? But it isn't, because the game is arbitrarily telling you it's not. And this is the kind of the issue, is like, I like that there's a lot to do, and there certainly is loads to do, but some of it is more interesting than others. Like chasing after those dogs, not great. catching those chickens was a pain in the ass, but it turned out that actually some of that was me. I thought you had, based on what Red 13 was saying, I was like, oh, you have to start again right from the beginning, but you actually didn't have to start again right from the beginning. I found that out off stream, that you could just toss out the little bird feeder thing again, and then it would make things a lot easier. And then it's just a lot of like, oh, go here and get this, go here and get that, fetch this, fetch that. And it's like, I'm sorry, Cloud, I thought you didn't want to be an errand boy. And it just kind of gets, like, I like that there's a lot of different stuff to do, but mainly I play in the game because I enjoy the combat and everything, and I like the missions, but when the missions are based around stuff I'm not that interested in, it kind of stunts my enjoyment of it. And there was a lot of times I was playing the game where I'm like, I just have to get through this, because and it's that thing I often say in games, once I've done it, I'm never doing this again, and there's a lot of that in this game. So I don't know when I will play on hard mode, because it's going to be a pain. Get off the, like right now, like why do I keep getting stuck to the wall? Like, get off the wall. So I'm like, well, I'll probably try it, load up a chapter or two and stuff, and try to get through it on hard mode, see if I can, by just skipping missions and everything. It may not be as bad as I think, especially with streamlined progression on, but the incentive is nowhere near as high as it was in Remake, because it's just kind of tedious travelling around and doing this, and then it just kind of annoyed me a lot, because I just wanted to play the game and it felt like I couldn't. And I know that's a me thing, because again, you don't have to. You could just get all the proto relics maybe, or you could just focus on a few, just do whatever you can find on the way, because there's no need to really do it, you know, to progress the story and such. So a lot of that is me. But the game does push you to do it. It's really sort of saying like, no, you should do this. This is great. Like, you should do this. It's part of it. Did I win that? Is there a tick on that? I can't even tell. Let's check the. Here we go. 3 out of 5. I think I did. I want to say I did. Let me see it again. Oh no, I guess I didn't. I thought I did, but what was this? EP 3222. No, I didn't. I thought I had, because sworn it said that I'd done it. Yeah, so I didn't like that that you had to like sneak up and capture the chocobos. That got really annoying really quickly, and I didn't like the return of the damn push button mini game in the front, which was the dancing game, which was in the parade thing. I had to reload that about 10 times off stream or something to get the achievement tied to that. God, that was annoying. I mean, I'm glad I knew it was coming up so I could make a save state beforehand, but that was, I just hate the mechanics of that. I always have. You never know like how well you've done. You never know, because all the language that the characters use is kind of the same whether you mess it up or not. So you never really get any kind of indication that you've done it. And a lot of the times, like when I was pressing Y, it didn't seem to register. I don't know if that's my controller or just the mini game. And that kind of stuff kept happening with a lot of the mini games in it. There was when I was doing Loveless, I was really surprised to see I got the S rank first time, because I was certain I'd not hit some of those targets, but luckily I did. And unfortunately I do have to do that 3 more times to get some stuff for the Johnny side quest. And I don't know when I'll do that. I'll give it a go at some point off stream, obviously, because I don't want to sit there on stream failing everything. And it's just weird. It reminds me of Rare. So Rare made Banjo-Kazooie, Rare made GoldenEye, And then near the end there, sort of every game they released, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong, 64, Conker, they all included these arbitrary game mechanics. They all included first-person sequences and clunky like stuff. And I remember playing like Banjo-Tooie and Conker and DK and being like, this is rare. They made GoldenEye, they made Perfect Dark, and now they can't. They can't do first-person shooter mechanics right anymore. Like, what's gone wrong? Is it the game engine? Like, what's happened? Like, why can't they do it? And this is what the vibe I get from Rebirth is. They're like, oh, we're going to put all these mechanics in the game, but we're gonna make them really clunky, really janky. We're not going to tell you things. Like, we're not going to tell you certain things. And I'm like, well, you bombarded me with tutorials at the start of the game, and now you're not telling me like certain mechanics. Like when I had to get that chocobo by tossing feed and everything, like tossing bait. It didn't tell me to do that. I had to like kind of figure it out, which is fine, because I also complain about hand holding and everything. But it was like, well, that seems like a pretty important thing to know, and you're not telling me this. Like, this is how to play that minigame, and you've completely just not said what has to be done, which is just bizarre. I failed it again. It's just kind of frustrating, that inconsistency of like, oh, it's like this minigame, not telling me that I can boost by pressing A. You know, not telling me that it literally just playing it now, I realised collecting those icons is refilling my health, which it probably says that in the tutorial, but I must have misreading it at some point. But so that's good to know. Now I know that, but it's not. I don't understand why, when I'm so close to a wall, it's making me stick to it. That's really annoying, making it difficult to do what I want to do because it's sticking me to the wall. And this is the thing, is like, this is a lot of game reviewers will say this, is it is like, it's the controls, like this is very clunky to play, it's just not very smooth and responsive, which is weird because the combat, like the main gameplay of this game, is really smooth, it's really well done, like the battles are great, they're really fast, there's loads of, everything works well in the battles, everything really works well when you're exploring even. Like, a lot of the actual gameplay is working really well. And it's like, well, okay, well that works, so why isn't the mini games working as well? Like, maybe it's me, maybe I'm messing it up. But no, it's just not implemented very well. It's just poorly done. And it makes me laugh because I think about the original Final Fantasy VII, the Gold Saucer had all those weird little mini games. But they were just little distractions. You didn't have to do them to progress the story or anything. They were just kind of, I would say they were there as like ways to show what the PlayStation was capable of doing. Let the developers have a bit of fun maybe. And just to kind of be like, hey, why not put a snowboarding mini game in here? We can make a kind of mobile game out of it later maybe, which was fun. And like this G-bike sequence thing, it's like, yeah, I just feel like maybe it would have been better to focus on just on a handful of these mini games, on a handful, like just maybe 10, and just recycle them, make them work really well, and recycle them in a way that's fun and makes sense, and breaks up the gameplay, because there were times in the game where it was get off the wall. Oh my goodness, where it really did help to have a bit of a break in the gameplay, because it would be like, oh, now I've got to do not really the stealth section, that was kind of annoying, but there were different things you could do and different ways of going about things. Like, you didn't always have to wrangle a chocobo, so there was that one time where you just got one, which was brilliant. I loved that. More of that, please. In Gongala, as much as I hated being in Gongala, that was very difficult to navigate that jungle. Did not like that at all. Yeah, and it just feels like just feels like they've. This is one as well. Like, why is that taking forever? That should just let me restart right from there. But of course, it's going to boot me all the way back to here, and now I have to choose it from here. Like, I could have just said retry right there. Other times it does. It just says retry. When I'm wrangling a chocobo though, when I want to retry, I have to hold down Y. Why not just why not just press Y to retry and maybe have a thing pop up and be like, oh, are you sure you want to retry? And I'm like, yes, that's what I said, I want to retry. So I feel like they've put all this extra stuff in as like a nice way, as nice distractions to kind of show what they can do, build the world out and everything, and be like, oh, it's not just this, it's not just that. But what it actually boils down to is padding. And people have said this about the game, so I'm not going to be saying anything new here, but this game is just stupidly padded out, ridiculously padded out, insultingly padded out. Like, there is no need for this game to be this padded out. It's insanity. Like, you know, you're in this new area and it's like, okay, well, activate, I don't know what, 10 towers? There's like, what, 20 sort of side quests you got to do in every area. It's a lot, and it's like it's great for encouraging replayability. I'll give you that. Get off the wall. But it's just too much. You know, it's a lot, and it doesn't need it. Is the thing. It's like, well, why do you need all that padding? Like, why isn't there enough in the main game? Why isn't there enough in what you've built to last, where you need to be like, actually no, I think what we need to do here is make, you know, this chapter is going to be 2 hours long, but this chapter we want it to be 6 hours long, so why not take some time and explore Costa del Sol and get beachwear before you can progress the story. Like, do I have to do that? Is that really necessary? Do I really have to do that? Yes, you do. You have to do it, or else you can't go to the beach and you can't progress the story. I'm like, oh, alright, I guess I have to do that then. And it's just kind of annoying. And that the worst offender for me was this Queen's Blood card game, which was the bane of my life. And like, I don't really like card games in video games at the best of times. And I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't really read the rules, I didn't really understand what I had to do, and it took a long time for me to get any kind of idea of what's supposed to happen in that game. And a lot of that happened off stream, where I was kind of Googling like, okay, how do I beat this certain person, and sort of looking at like, what's the best, what are the best, cards to have for this, and what are the best, what are the best, you know, tactics to use. But even then, with all the right cards and everything, you're at the mercy of the randomness of the game. If the computer plays a certain way, you're going to lose. And I still don't really know why it is that the opponent can put down one card and capture like every single tile and get a whole bunch of points, and yet I put down one card and I just get the bare minimum. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Maybe it's the wrong card. Maybe I need to use something else, and that's fair enough. And maybe I should have looked a bit deeper into it. But it reminded me of whatever it was in Final Fantasy VIII and 9. One of them was Triple Triad. I forget which one was which. Didn't really care for either of those games, and you had to play some of them to get achievements, but they weren't like story mandated. And I said this to my friend when I messaged him and said to him how I was struggling with those aspects of the game. And I said, well, look, when you get to chapter whatever it was and you're on the boat, the game's going to force you to play a card tournament. So if you haven't been playing Queen's Blood and getting an idea of it up until that point, you're now going to be forced to do it. However, again, you don't have to play that tournament to finish. You can lose one match, I think, and then just sort of register that loss and call it quits, and then just end the story there. But I was like, me and him both trying to get achievements and everything, so I'm like, well, you want all the achievements, mate, you're going to have to play that game you're going to have to beat. And I was like, oh, hopefully it will just be 3 players. But no, it was 5 players. But then like, nope, it wasn't 5 players. It was 6, because then I had to play Red 13 or whatever. And I was like, I just wanted it to end. I was done. I was finished. I'd won the tournament. You know, like why am I now fighting, like playing someone else? I don't want to do that. Like, I'm done. But nope, the game forces you to do it. Forces you to play against Red 13, forces you, and I'm like, I've just done it. Like, I've done it. Why are we doing it again? And it's like, nope, you got to do it again. And I'm like, for Christ's sake, like, enough. Like, we're done. It's not even a good game. It's not implemented well. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's random. I still don't really know how I beat when I have beat. Sometimes I've beaten like high level players with barely even trying, and then other times I can't get anything happening. I can't get any traction going on, and then you just keep playing over and over again. I'm like, I don't want to do this on stream because I think it's kind of embarrassing. Yeah, not many people are watching obviously right now, but I'm like, it's kind of embarrassing because I just keep losing. It's frustrating because I'm just trying to continue on and everything, and then the game has the gall, like the audacity to tie in like some story elements to it, where it's like, no, actually all these the game is cursed. This is cursed and that is cursed and everything is cursed and whatever. And I'm like, oh god, still god. Where I'm like, what? I don't know what's going on with that. It's weird, and I think I think I've got to finish all the games at Gold Saucer to see that through, or something. I guess this is my life now. Is just going to be playing this goddamn motorcycle racing game, and yeah, I've not enjoyed it. Every time I've had to play Queen's Blood, that's why, like, off stream I was like, well, if I just beat who's in the area who I need to beat those players, get it out of the way, get the rank up, and just kind of get on with it, because I just want it. I want it over with. And again, it just keeps going. It's like, oh, you get to rank 7, rank 8, rank 9. I'm guessing it goes up to 10. And I'm just like, okay, well, what if it just went up to rank 5? What if that was high enough? What if you just implemented the game to be like that? So you play you play some card games. Level 5 is the highest. You get to that point, and then you're kind of done. You just kind of play if you want, and there's some of the CPU is offering a higher challenge. But no, it's just going to keep going, isn't it? It's just going to keep being 8, 9. It probably goes up to 10, because I'm like, maybe 8 is the highest, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go, actually, here's an extra rank, it's S rank or whatever the fuck, and I'm like, oh god. Yeah, so I didn't enjoy that at all. And there were parts of the game I did enjoy. There's lots of it I did enjoy. And I'm glad that I finished it and saw it through and everything. But yeah, I think overall I definitely preferred Remake. It was much more my speed, much more my style. And that's just me. I know that there's a huge love out there for open world games and for all this and for replayability and everything. But I'm just one of them who is like, okay, I like there to be a lot to do in my games. I like that there's variety and lots of extra stuff to go back and play for and mop up and achievements and stuff. But there is such a thing as too much, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is certainly in that camp of like, it's too much. It's not a casual play really. Like you can do that thing of like, oh, I'll just log in for an hour and I'll just try and find as much as I can in this area for now, and that'll be all I do for today. And that can take hours and hours and hours. Like literally I'm just like, oh, I'll just try and mop up as much as I can today. And then now I'm stuck playing this game over and over again because I can't hit this fucking high score because it's making it bloody arbitrarily annoying because I keep getting stuck to the wall like this. And it's like, well, when I finally do it, assuming I do, it's just going to feel more like luck than anything else. And I don't like that. no, I haven't done it, so I can just restart. And I'm like, luck is luck and everything, but it just felt like the game, the combat was just really secondary, and I didn't like that, because I like the combat. I like, you know, and I know a lot of that is because I'm playing with, you know, the streamlined progressions on, so it's easier. I'm glad that when they brought back like the Fort Condor game, which I did not enjoy in 7, I felt the same way about that as I do about Queen's Blood. It was kind of forced me to do it, and it was annoying. But I liked that in this one, I don't remember this happening in Remake, the max damage streamlined progression thing carried over. So it was a lot easier. I just had to have that one hit, and there was another mini game which I didn't. I don't think I really showed, where it was like you send little robots out to fight flans or whatever. That was also had the same thing. So I was like, if all I had to do was hit it once, 999,000 whatever damage, 9 times 4 damage. Game's over. I've won, nice and easy. And I'll admit, like that's not the way you're meant to really play it, is it? You know, with all that stuff on, you should. And I was like, I'm sure I feel like I get a sense of how difficult the game would be, even when I'm playing with all that stuff on. And I feel like this game is super hard without all that on. It felt very much like it would be quite difficult, especially at the end there. There's a lot of like difficult kind of multi-stage battles and everything that I was like, yeah, I could see how this would actually probably be quite tricky. And the trouble with that is, it's like that doesn't really factor into things like Queen's Blood and everything. It's like, no, this is just the difficulty's there because you're at the mercy of the random number generator and everything. Like it's difficult because you don't know what the computer's going to do. It's going to play different cards. It has random cards, and you have to pick random cards and just hope for the best and hope that it just stops, which is what I was kind of saying as I was playing. It's like, okay, just give up now, quit your turn, give up, you've lost, stop. And then it would just bust out a card that would be like, okay, well, this is gonna destroy all your cards. I'm like, what? How come I didn't have a card like that? Like, where are my cards that do that? And it's like, okay, well, maybe I didn't put them in the deck and I'm not using them properly, and that's fine. But when they are in the deck, I can't use them. They don't work in that way for some reason. It's, you know, the computer puts their cards down and they're able to lower this and do this and all this sort of thing, and I can't seem to do it. And again, yeah, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's because I suck. And that I admitted that. I was like, yeah, that's all very well and good. That's all very well and good. Like, I like that. Like, stop. Is there any way I can, like, no? Jesus. Like, here, like, come on, like, I know it's a skill issue, I'm sure, but it shouldn't be that frustrating to do. And then, yeah, when you actually look at the narratives, it's been a while since I played the original 7, so I don't recall every single part of it that happened. And I remember I was in the Temple of the Ancients last night, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty certain Aerith is going to die here. And then I was like, oh no, that's right, she doesn't die here, she dies because there's no pool, and it's that classic shot of the materia falling in the pool. I was like, yeah, they go to the Promised Land. So I was like, okay, well, chapter 14 must be they go to the Promised Land, and that's where the game's going to end. I was fairly certain, I turned out to be right, that the final chapter was literally just going to be like the final boss, and it basically was just like a long boss battle. And I just feel like the pacing is so off in this game. Like, sometimes it slows way down, and it just feels like everything's kind of on pause while you're escorting dogs or collecting bloody ingredients or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to be doing something that more interesting. But it's like, no, you know, we went to all this trouble to build all these areas and to bring all this world to life in 3D. You better explore it. You better look at everything. You better go and find all this stuff for Johnny. God knows if I'm ever going to be able to do that, because like I struggled to figure out that you're supposed to hold down the button with your chocobo to sniff out the area and everything. So I realised quite late in the game that was something I was supposed to be doing, and because of that, I potentially have missed some stuff I've got to dig up, and I've got to try to. I don't know if that's random. I don't know if that's in specific places or whatever. Like hopefully it's not. But at the same time, I really don't want to have to go back to those areas and find it. It's like, why can't it just be? I mean, yeah, sure, maybe have some of it be like that, but why can't it just be, oh, just you buy them in the shop. That's where it is. That's how you do it. Like, you need money, gil, but you get gil from fighting and stuff. So, you know, it's incentivizing the core mechanics of the game, not just, oh yeah, you know, play G-Bike and get gold saucer points to unlock them and stuff. It's like, no, actually, how about doing what the game is meant to do, which is the main gameplay. The part that's supposed to have all the polish and the fun, and does have that. But no, it's like you've got to go around and do all this crap. And I just am not interested in doing most of it. Because it's just annoying. And why would I want to do that? So yeah, I think it definitely picked up a bit. Near the end, once like the story is like coming together. I liked that it expanded on the way it expanded on stuff. I liked all the flashbacks they did, and you know, the way that each character got, like, you know, with Barrett at the prison and Tifa and everything, and Red, you get a lot of like detail into who they are and what's going on with them. At the same time, while trying to figure out what is happening with Cloud and why his memories are so messed up and everything, which is great. Which I believe that a lot of that was, there's not much new added there, if I remember right. I mean, there's obviously more, but it was great. It's great for like character building. It is a bit odd to me, because I'm like, well, how important really is a lot of that? Because how much are you really going to remember by the time the next game comes out? You know, how much is going to have to be stuck into the, you know, last time on Final Fantasy catch-up that they helpfully had in this game, which I didn't watch, but I'm sure is useful, because it's literally, you know, especially for Xbox players, it could have been years since you last played it, if you played it at all, because you may not have known it was on there. So it's great for that. At the same time, it's like, well, you know, you do kind of get a lot of that anyway from just playing the game, from just, you know, talking to people and talking to the characters and stuff. I didn't really get the whole relationship system thing. As far as I can tell, it does impact who you go on a date with at the Gold Saucer. But I was like, I felt like I was doing a fair bit, and it just kept saying like, oh, your relationship has changed, and everyone had like smiley faces and everything, but I couldn't tell like what that was really kind of doing in a way. Like, did it make things attack stronger and stuff? I guess it probably did. Obviously, I'm not going to see that with streamlined progression on, so that's fair enough. But it does seem like it actually does, you know, impact the way you're playing and the way that special moves are working and stuff, which is cool. But it didn't really, like, as far as I could tell, it wasn't like a, you know, like a good bad system in old games like Infamous and Shadow the Hedgehog and stuff, where it's like, oh well, if you don't do this, Yuffie's gonna leave the team. If you don't say this, you know, Aerith is never gonna speak to you again, and things like that. And like, there were some times where it actually didn't matter, like there at the end there, where it was like, pick a gift for Aerith, and it was like everything I picked was wrong. Like, I was like, okay, well, is there a right answer? Does it matter what the answer is? Probably not, I'm guessing. And it was like, well, what's the point of giving me a choice anyway? Like, what's the point of these dialogue options if it's not actually going to have any impact on the game? Ah, there we go. Have I done it? I hope so. I'm sick of this now. See, it was a bit odd. Like, it felt like a way of forcing it, because one of the things I quite liked about like QTEs was that with video games, when the cutscene is playing, video games become a passive experience. You usually put your controller down, either watch or maybe you leave the room. And what I liked about QTEs, and the first time I really noticed this happening was in Resident Evil 4, was that all of a sudden it wasn't safe to put your controller down, because it was like suddenly your RT and LT appear on screen and you need to press them or else you're going to get your head cut off. And it seemed like in this game they were using the dialogue progression system as just an extension of that, of like, oh, you know, they're asking Cloud a question, so you need to pick an answer, and it was like, why? Well, just to say you've made that cutscene interactive. And that sort of thing also impacts stuff like where Cloud was like going after Aerith to get the, you're saying, you know, when he was controlled by Sephiroth and was like trying to get the black materia from her, that was the player had to control that. And this happened in Remake as well, where Cloud would go a bit skew-if, and you were having to control him in those situations, and it kind of becomes an interactive cutscene, which is something I have a bit of an odd relationship with, because I'm just kind of like, well, why not just make it a cutscene? Why am I having to control it? And it is weird. Like, I appreciate it's weird to say, well, what? So you're saying you don't want control in an interactive medium? And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, actually, because what's the benefit to me as a player to control Cloud, or like, for no example, in Arkham, like, or Batman, when he's like drugged and stumbling about, and you don't really have any control because you can't really do anything. Like, it's just kind of, it's a bit of a mess. It's like, well, oh, I need to switch deck. This is the wrong deck.
You're getting there, but you haven't truly
you know, all you're doing is walking forwards, and I'm like, how interactive is that? Like, I don't really understand, like, what am I getting from being able to walk forward? Like, what that couldn't happen in a cutscene. And I remember this happening in Resident Evil 6, where there were times where you would watch a cutscene and then, like, I don't know, like Leon like docked his boat in a cutscene, and then the player then controls Leon as he walks up a flight of stairs, and then another cutscene kicks in, and I'm like, what's the point of What's the point of that? Like, what am I gaining from making Leon, like, literally just moving the analog stick 5 steps and then Leon automatically walks up some stairs? Like, that, why not just put that in the cutscene? And it's like, commit to it. And this is sort of doing that, where it's like, oh, now you're watching a cutscene, but now you're gonna arbitrarily make some kind of choice that just to be like, hey, by the way, this game is interactive. And I'm like, yeah, I know it is, but the thing about dialogue tree options is they're supposed to lead to something. It's supposed to mean that if you make a decision, it impacts something. And in this game, it seems like, I guess it did, in the sense that it changes who you go on the date with at the Gold Saucer. But who cares, honestly? Like, it's funny to have, like, Barrett be there, or have Vincent be there, but you may not see that, so you're not going to find it that funny, because you may not see that. Like, I got Aerith, I was obviously aiming for Tifa, and I got Aerith, and I have no idea, like, it said at the end there, like, oh, well, you can replay it and see it from someone else's perspective, and I'm just like, alright, what am I really going to get from that, you know, that's really going to change my life, sort of thing. And it just feels like the answer is nothing, really. Hold on, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, oh, damn it. So I'm not going to, oh, work. Win. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's not really benefiting anything. It's not like there's an achievement type. Thank God there isn't. I know there is in the original Final Fantasy VII on here, because I actually do need to do another playthrough of it where I get go on the date with Barrett, And luckily there isn't one for it in this, which is great, because I would hate to have to try to rebuild a strong relationship with every character, just to see a cutscene of Barrett and Cloud sitting awkwardly in the thingamajig, in the wheel, when I could just look that cutscene up online. And you know, so I'm glad that they didn't incorporate it into that. But at the same time, it's like, well, what is the point of these dialogue choices beyond that? Beyond, you know, what, like I say, maybe it is strengthening the attacks, which is great for a normal playthrough. But even if that is all it's doing, which I don't really believe it is, because, you know, we have the sphere grid, for lack of a better term, the weapon upgrade system, which again I just was just kind of upgrading whatever. I didn't really understand it. It felt like I didn't need to understand it, because again I've got everything turned on, and I knew that when the game ended, I knew that I was going to essentially unlock New Game Plus. Like, I knew my progression was going to carry over, so I was like, well, it doesn't matter if I don't unlock everything on the sphere grid, for whatever it's called, because I know that when I play the game again, that's gonna carry over, and I will eventually fill it up. And I don't even know if there's an achievement tied to that. There may be, like, hopefully if there is, it's just complete one character's grid. But that was another thing where I don't remember. I know there was something like that in Remake. I don't remember what it looked like though, off the top of my head. But it was too much. And this is like, I've been putting off playing Final Fantasy X for a long time. But I remember when I did play 10, I struggled with the sphere grid. There was too much on it. There's too many choices. I didn't really understand it, and it was like, well, which way should I go? What should I improve? And I don't really like it in RPGs when they let you choose that. It just kind of bugs me. I would much rather it was just automatic, like it is in the old school games. I'm sure other people think the sphere grid and that sort of choice is the greatest thing, is really great, and they love being able to pick and choose. And I did see in there that you could unlock like extra limit breaks and everything, but I would rather have that be tied to equipment maybe, or tied to like, okay, well, if you want to get a stronger limit break, you have to use cross slash like 10 times, and then you master it, and then you unlock the next bit, or you level up, because, you know, to give an incentive to leveling up. Because it's too much. It's very overwhelming to look at, and it's like the open world thing for me. It's just like, oh my god, there's so much, and like, oh, I'm following this, I'm going this direction to do this, but I've actually had to detour to set up a fast travel spot. I've had to detour to track down those damn bandits, that got very tedious. And this is kind of Final Fantasy Rebirth is doing this, where it's like, well, it reminds me of Conker's Bad Fur Day, where it's like, well, here's a task you have to do it 3 times, like deliver this carrot to whatever, get 3 of them, and it was like, oh, you did it, fantastic, now do it again, but go and get 5. And that's what like a lot of these jobs were like in this, where it's like, oh, go and find these 3 things. Okay, you did that? Great. Okay, well, now do it again, but now you're finding 5. And I'm just like, oh, we didn't need that. Like, when I got to those new areas and I was doing all those Chadley things, it was ticking it off. Like I said, I think there was about 20. Could have been 30. I couldn't count them, because we'll get to this in a minute. But like, I just think it should be like 10, maybe 10 per area, and 5 unlockable bonus ones for extra stuff. But really, all you really need is to power up those the summons, which I annoyingly, with all the extra stuff we had on in this game, which I had, oh, thank goodness. Oh, and I got an achievement there. So every quest done. So now I never have to beat another quest. Thank goodness. Yeah, like, I found that a bit annoying because of the whole, you got to hit the thing, and like, what I was doing originally was kind of putting my fingers over the screen where the QTEs were and pressing the button, but as they got more and more, I was taking a picture and just being like, and just taking a guess. And I didn't really like that system of like, that's how you upgrade the summons. I didn't really enjoy that was how you did it, because that wasn't in the last game. You know, you just did it a different way. I don't remember what you did. No, yeah, that's retry. You just used them, I think, and I don't even know if there was an upgrade system actually. You know, I don't actually remember. I think it was just from playing. And I like that they made it part of the story. That's fine. But it just kind of got annoying to me, because I just wanted to get on with things, and it wouldn't let me, because I had to stop and track down all this stuff. And because I didn't really use the summons, I don't know how much more powerful it really made them. And even if I had used them, I had streamlined progression on, so I would have I would have had you know, full damage anyway, so it didn't really impact me that much. But I'm sure it does in the actual game, and that's fine. There we go, that's better. But yeah, I did have a weird thing with the game where I felt like I couldn't really see what was happening. Like the world was so big to look at that I was struggling. I don't know if that's just me getting old, and it probably is, and like the HDness of the TV and the game and everything, but it was very difficult sometimes to kind of make sense of what I was looking at and what was going on, and to the point where I just didn't really know where I was going and what I was doing a lot of the time, which again, yeah, it's probably a me thing, but I think it's worth pointing out. It's just everything's kind of very zoomed out, menus are very small, text is very small, which you know, it does happen in a lot of like media these days. It's just kind of everything is HDing it all up and everything, so it's focusing on like the best visual clarity, so it seems like menus and everything is getting smaller, and I'm like, well, you know, there's a lot of tutorials that you're throwing at me, so you might want to make it so I can actually read them, and you might want to actually put text in that's relevant to this game so I can actually beat it. And then a lot of the time it just didn't really, if it did do that, I just wasn't really that interested in reading it, because I just was trying to get on with the game, and I knew that if I read the first tutorial pop up, I was like, well, there's no point reading this, because there's going to be another one as soon as I press B, and there was, more often than not. And if there wasn't, then Chadley was sure to pop up and sort of offer some insight, and then he had a damn AI assistant as well anyway, and it was like, oh my god, like, you're just saying all this information, and I just want to play, just let me play, but the game wouldn't really let me play, and I just didn't want to have to look it up. I just wanted to, I shouldn't have to, you know, it should be all right there, and it should just say, I would much rather it be, there is a tutorial, and either it plays you through the tutorial, so you get a sense of what it is, and then as you're doing it, it says, like what I was saying about the Chocobo thing, there was no on-screen indicator that said, like it said on it, like, well, hold down, it said down D-pad to set to smell. It was like, just had it on down. Didn't say you had to hold it on the on-screen indicator. It just said down is smell, but you need to hold it down. And I'm like, well, it should, I don't know, like it should make that a bit clearer, because that's pretty important to know. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to find that out? Like, yeah, okay, Google it, that's fine. But like, which tutorial do I have to look at to see that? And it was like, sometimes you press the menu button and it brings it up again, which is great. And then other times you couldn't do that. I literally have no idea what. There we go. Oh no, I missed. No, you're not gonna. Okay. Just keep doing this. All I need to do is land one hit and I'll win, but he's not taunting, so. I did like this. I do like this, but I don't like. Maybe it's just me rushing it, but I'm like, I know left, I have to dodge with left, but I'm like, well, which is it? Am I left and right? Like, which? I don't know. It's weird. Just keep doing it like that, I guess. Good. That's a bit better. It's just kind of annoying. I would much rather this was like a regular. I would have liked it if this had been kind of a recreation of Erges. That would have been kind of cool. I like this polygonal look though. I really hope they bring out some more figures that have that look. That would be awesome. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't have the time to play the game in hard mode anytime soon. I might try to just go load up each mission by mission, and just sort of try and blast through it in hard mode as quickly as I can. I'm already like not looking forward to it though, because it means I've got to you know, do so much crap again that I don't want to do, like wrangling Chocobo. Pretty certain I would have to do that. What did I just do? You know, things like that. Like, I've got to do all the trials, and there's no skipping all those trials in the Temple of Ancients. But there are some parts I could skip. Like, I don't have to give a damn about the Junon parade anymore because I aced it. So that's the main thing. But just thinking of the length, I mean, it took me about 70 hours to beat the game, and that was me playing like about 6 hours a day every day for 2 weeks. So in that respect, yeah, alright, there's a lot of content, you're getting a lot of mileage from the game, and I can't fault it for that. It's just not very enjoyable. All the padding and the side quests and the busy work, just tedious busy work in the game that it just didn't need to be there. There was enough in Final Fantasy VII in the story without all this tedious crap to pad it out. It just feels like those Hobbit movies where it's like, we need to long this out because we've decided it's going to be a trilogy. And I'm just kind of thinking, maybe you could have made it, you'd have to change what you did with Remake, but you could have just made it 2 games, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, and you could have done like an hour or two's worth of DLC for each game that incorporated some of this extra stuff that you've put in the game. But in the end, and I'll say, like, I know they've done it for money, but the development and the time it's taken to make these games is going to be very costly as well. But it's Final Fantasy VII. It's not like it won't sell. So, you know, it's definitely, yeah, I should just block really, shouldn't I? That'd be easier. There we go. So it's definitely going to sell. People are definitely going to buy it. Oh no, I can't block every time. Alright, that's fine. So it's definitely going to sell no matter what, which is understandable. And I would definitely say it's worth getting. It's just a lot. It's very overwhelming. And I was like, well, if you like open world games, if you like the tediousness, the busy work, all that sort of thing, collecting, and there is like a lot of pleasure to get from collecting stuff and unlocking things in the game. I'll give it that. But for me it was very overwhelming, and it's annoying me looking at the achievement list knowing that I was able to 100% Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was a bit of a slog, but I was able to do it, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it with this one because there's just too much to go back and do. I'll probably try, but I'm not looking forward to trying it. I'm not relishing the you know, the having to do it. Is it down here? Especially like right now, like there's an achievement for beating this that's pissing me off, but I'm just giving it a go. He's not taunting. I'm just seeing if there's any RNG. A lot of it, again, it's me. I'm obviously not pressing the control stick in the right direction every time, but I just what would make it easier for me? What would be nicer for me as a player here? They're like, oh, read his inputs. I'm like, well, why not just flash on the screen which direction I have to press right before he's going to do his attack, and like have it be like a QTE. There maybe I'd have a better chance at it. And this is a lot of the games like that. Like sometimes it will do that, and then other times it's not doing it. It's just really inconsistent. And I'm like, well, you could just say like, okay, right at the bit, and be like, oh, there it is, and it's a QTE, rather than this kind of, oh, well, you know, guess. I'm like, guess. I just don't want to guess. I just want to get on with it, or have it be like a proper fighter or something. But yeah, so I definitely I loved the ending, the final boss and everything. That was like Zack teaming up with Cloud. That was a lot of fun. It was a bit weird, this whole split timeline thing. I don't really get that, honestly. I don't think they've explained that too well. I was definitely getting the sense, in a lot of especially Sephiroth's dialogue, that I feel it's not been translated massively well. I feel like what they've done is they've tried to stay as close to the Japanese text as possible, which is great. And a lot of Japanese dialogue and stuff in anime and games is usually very intentionally vague because they're able to infer a lot more than we are. It's always been a thing. And it definitely feels like they've tried to stay much closer to the Japanese dialogue, which to me felt a bit contradictory. Like, they were saying stuff and stuff was happening, and then characters would say something and their reaction seemed like it didn't make any sense to what was actually going on. So that was kind of a bit confusing, because it was like, well, what are you... And like Seth was talking about worlds and stuff. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from at the moment. It's kind of weird. But I liked seeing him and Zack and Cloud team up, and that they did Bizarro Sephiroth at the end there. That was kind of cool, and like, you know, then ended in a callback to their final fight and everything. And I can't wait to see safer Sephiroth in the next game. I'm sure that's going to be really great. And I also really liked the Gilgamesh side quest. It was, again, very tedious, having to go around collecting everything. And I remember when I got to Gilgamesh Island, I was terrified. When those proto-materia scattered around, I was terrified that I was going to have to search all over the world for them. I was like, oh god, this mission's now going to become like... It's going to be go to all these different parts in the world map. And luckily for me, that didn't happen, and everything was in that immediate area, which I was so glad that was the case. I was convinced they were going to be like, no, just fly around the world and fight all the summons, you know, in the four corners of the world or something, and then come back. And that was something that really bugged me, actually, just as a kind of a side note. I remember in Remake, when you completed a mission, it would come up with a pop-up and say, you know, oh, mission complete. Do you want to travel back to the person who sent you the mission? And that doesn't happen in this one. So, like, you finish the mission, you collect all, like, you know, the wheelies and stuff. Those were kind of cool while we're talking about them. And then it was like, you've done it. Good job, completed. And then you have to go back to the NPC and tell them you've done it, and then mission complete. And I'm just like, what? This is why? And you know why? It's to pad the game out. It's to make you travel. It's to make you, you know, do more footwork, explore this world that we've created and everything. And that was really annoying. I found that so frustrating, to be stuck like one side of the map and then be like, oh well, now just go all the way back. I'm like, why? What am I gaining from travelling all the way back? Unless fast travelling, yeah, sure, that makes it easier, but I still shouldn't have to do it. Like, if I'm going to fast travel there, you may as well just press return to sender, for lack of a better term, and just let me just put me there. Like, why make me chocobo run buggy back there just so that you can show off more of your graphics? Which, while we're on the subject, there was a lot of pop-in and weird texture warping at times. I'm playing this on Xbox Series X, and that was bizarre to see that happening. So that's a bit of a tangent to the Gilgamesh thing, but I did really enjoy that. That was bizarre and bonkers and crazy, but lots of parts of Final Fantasy VII are bizarre, bonkers, and crazy. So it was really fun how they incorporated that. And I do hope that we get to see something with that in the next one. But if I had to guess, I would say the third game, the bulk of the story is going to be about the weapon. So I would imagine, like, if you're going to do this Chadley stuff where you're researching the summons in this game, we'll probably be researching like Diamond Weapon, Emerald Weapon, probably not Emerald Weapon, but Diamond Weapon and Sapphire Weapon and Ultimate Weapon and things like that. It'll probably be maybe 6 areas. Each area you have to research a weapon, and then to maybe fight and then use something in the area to fight it. But I'm a bit scared about what the next game is going to be like in that respect. Like, how big is it really going to be? You know, because I imagine it's going to be at least the size of this game, but maybe double the size. It's got to be, right? That's how it is. I mean, I actually pressed left down there, but whatever, sure. So, yeah, I'm scared, honestly, about that, because you know that they've been developing that game at the same time as they were sort of this game coming out, so they're not going to be listening to fan feedback of like, oh, I didn't like all the busy work, I didn't like all this stuff. It's just going to be like, nope, we're going to put this in and we're going to make it, expand on it and make it even more than it was. Which is going to test me, I think. But I will say this, like I say, a lot of it was my fault. I wanted to get everything done in one go in each chapter, so I'd have less to do, which did work out quite well for me later, when it was like, oh, like chapter 13-ish, well, chapter 10 maybe, where it was kind of like, oh, do all the odd jobs, and I'd already done loads of them. You know, I just had to go back and do a couple of extra ones. That was great. It was like playing the long game. So I didn't end up with like, you know, like 80% of jobs and everything to redo, which is helping me here in the post game. And I do think that's kind of useful. But it's like, yeah, you could easily just skip everything, and then you could save a lot of it for the post game, and then you can come back and mop everything up, and I think that would be just as good. But I'm like, well, the game is presenting it in a way where it's saying you should do this. It'll be beneficial for you to do it. And I do suspect that the next game will literally probably force you to do certain things. Like in this one, you had to get a chocobo to cross the swamp, or else you get attacked by the snake and everything. So it's like, well, what if they actually start to properly implement that? Oh, come on, in a way where it is forcing you to do these things, especially if, like I say, if you are going to be researching the weapon, it's very likely you will have to do that to locate them. Like, maybe they won't show up on the map. That happened in a couple of the missions here, where you had to do certain things for the objective to appear on the map. You couldn't just go straight to that location. You had to oh, for Christ's sake, you had to do it. And I suspect that will happen. But yeah, I did enjoy it. It just felt like a lot of padding. I felt like I could have beaten the original game maybe twice in the same time it's taken me just to beat this one game. In terms of like trying to go for 100% or at least 90%. You skip all the busy work? Probably not. You could probably have it done in maybe half the time, 40 hours or so. It's still a long game, even if you miss all that stuff out. But personally, it was quite a lot for me. It was a bit too much, and I would have preferred it if they'd just scaled back a little bit or worked on the pacing. So I think, I don't know, if I had to say the last game was something like, I think it was something like 4 out of 5 I gave Remake. Might have been 5, to be fair, just for the sake of nostalgia and everything, but this is definitely more of a 3 out of 5 for me. Just the enjoyment factor was lacking in some areas, and I really wanted it to be more than it was, and it just wasn't ticking the boxes that I personally enjoy from these games. But if you enjoy all that stuff, then you'll probably have a better experience with it, and you'll probably disagree with what I'm saying, and that's fine. Good. And find more from it. But I think I do absolutely understand this idea of being disappointed that the game has just padded everything out so much when there was no need to. You could have just built on what was in that original game and just made it bigger and better. No, you don't want to know. So, but yeah, that's thought I'd just share my final thoughts on the game. It was fun streaming it. Hopefully people, I mean I know nobody watched it, but the videos are there, so hopefully people will check them out. But yeah, definitely give it a go if you're a fan, and then let me know what you thought in the comments.